Hey, what's up, everybody? Yellow Turtle here with my co-host Beef. Welcome to another episode of the LUKSOfam podcast, brought to you by KEEZ. LUKSOfam podcast is meant to be a short and informational podcast where we provide some takes on the latest LUKSO news in the space. Today we have another special guest who is a designer, creator, artist, and founder in the LUKSO ecosystem. With us today is Ledfut. Ledfut is the co-founder of Upturn and resident DJ for the District VR. How are you guys doing today?
What's going on?
What's up? What's up? My day could have been going better, but I chopped my invisible fence line for my dog. So I was dealing with that this morning, trying to get the people to come out here and fix it. But yeah, I'm pumped to talk to Ledfut.
Yeah, I'm pumped to talk to you guys too. It's going to be good.
Awesome. So, yeah, just to hop right into it. Before we talk about Upturn and its mission, I kind of want to hear a little bit about you, Ledfut. What have you been up to? We haven't talked in a little while. What you've been up to these past couple months?
Yeah, so been super busy. The project's been underway in its entirety for about 2 months now. Obviously, we had the hackathon last year, which ended around Q3, and then a little bit of planning and getting our processes together to get us to the last couple of months was a lot of work, but we've been full steam ahead building and designing the UI and the front end of Upturn, getting these smart contracts up to speed. And yeah, I've just, to be honest, just been absolutely balls to the wall, flat out with that and the District VR. Obviously, doing community work for the District VR and some marketing and promotion, that kind of stuff. So, and obviously the DJing, which is my love. But yeah, been super busy, which is nice.
Sweet. That's a great introduction right there, and I'm glad you've been busy these last couple months. So could you provide like a brief intro to Upturn and what its mission and what it's all about?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if you've gone to the GitHub and read our first repo when we did the hackathon. It was like quite an in-depth, futuristic, detailed description of what the project was going to be. And then over time, we sort of like tried to work out, okay, well, how do we actually make this a possibility? And yeah, like what's the best case scenario of people onboarding? Like what's going to be appealing to a user? So the idea has been like totally stripped back, just so we can like work on it kind of in stages. But yeah, if I can give you an elevator pitch, the V1 of Upturn is more of an enhanced loyalty card token system. It kind of like lays the groundwork for our intentions as a platform, how we're going to provide value to artists of all sizes. Yeah, and also stays true to LUKSO's ethos, which is like obviously towards mass adoption of blockchain technology and easy onboarding for newbies, kind of like having a UX user experience where blockchain's happening in the background. So we thought with Upturn we could probably grab a hold of that and just strip it right back into something that is kind of already there in some industries. I always like to use the coffee shop analogy. It's not really an analogy, it's just an example of a loyalty card system at a coffee shop. You keep going there every day. When you get your coffee, you get a stamp every time. And then after 10 times you've been, you get a free coffee. And I think that that idea can be extrapolated. It doesn't necessarily to be financial, so we can definancialize blockchain, which I think also needs to happen. And we can provide an experience for a fan or an artist to provide value to each other. The fan obviously buying merchandise, tickets, music, sharing posts on social media, going to gigs, and earning an artist token in return. And we thought how best to do this would to start off with that definancialized ideology. I think that's like the safest way to get started, and it kind of removes the ick from from the crypto space where everything's about money and making bags. We're kind of like just trying to build an economy for artists and fans that they can kind of like co-inhabit.
Awesome. That's a great breakdown and kind of a nice preview to what we were going to talk about. How does Upturn aim to redefine that connection between artists and fans in the music industry?
Well, yeah, I kind of would say it's redefining like what we traditionally know as an artist. Like traditionally in like web 2 or web 1 or pre-web, like all the like the entire history of production of any kind of art form, the artist has always been the performer. And if you look at someone like Mozart, for example, who's writing these insane symphonies, well, there's a massive chance that Mozart had a big team of people when he was getting commissioned by the kings to write this music with him, but we only ever remember Mozart. So I think we're going to redefine exactly what it means to be an artist and who's involved in not only the creative process but the sharing of the artwork, which then leads to the popularization of it, and the artist actually like growing and being able to sell their artwork and that kind of thing and having a career from it, basically. So yeah, basically the first thing that I like to think of is like, what is an artist? And I actually wrote some dot points before just so I'd remember this whole list. I think like, is an artist solely the performer? The artist can also be a promoter. The community in their fashion sense, like, does that define the community as an artist? Because you've got people in all different countercultures and subcultures and genres of dance music, for example, coming to gigs and they have their own get up and the way they dress, which is a super artistic approach, and it's an expression of themselves and the culture that they're in a super artistic way. Like I also think, which is massive in our space specifically, and kind of where Ledfut started off, I guess, is social media influencers. Like how they build hype for their performers. They're sometimes financially invested in a project, for example. And what's their motive to post? What's their motive to create content and to write posts that are going to farm engagement and like build audiences for this project? Like, what's their incentive? This content is also valuable to the artist. So within that creative process of the sharing of music and creation of music, the response you get when someone does from the community does create a piece of content for you, that defines the road you take in the you give the people what they want and you respect like your community, I guess. So like, how do you define the value of someone who's been there from the start and has shared your music or your artwork for the last 5 to 10 years of your career? Like, they just at the end of the day holding on to all your merchandise, maybe creating a shrine of you in their house, like those crazy Michael Jackson fans and stuff, how they've got like their whole life dedicated to that artist. Is that all they're left with in the end? This expensive and sometimes valuable merchandise? I think it would be good to, bring them along with you in the journey, right? And how do you reward those super fans? Not even super fans. Maybe someone saw the shining light in your music at the start and then has drifted away, but like maybe invested in you or bought some of your merchandise, and then later down the track they've got all these artist tokens from, hopefully not on a hard drive that goes into the like trash or something. That would suck. But more than likely now stored in a universal profile and kept a lot safer than traditional forms of crypto storage. Yeah, and like the graphic designer, for example, who's making the posters for a gig, the guy who's promoting it, or the gal who's promoting it, or whatever who's promoting it, the lighting team and the VJ, like the video jockey, the sound engineer who's doing the sound for the gig, all these parts of the show are often overlooked, and these guys are artists in their own right. And you might have 1,000 people who go to a Coldplay show who, like, that's a probably an inflated number, but you're going to have a few hundred people or tens of people who are there for the sound engineer, and they're kind of lost. You're going to be there for the people who do the lighting show, definitely. or the VJ. If you look at Tales of Us, which is quite a successful techno duo, they've got some of the most amazing visuals in the world right now, and they're playing in Tulum, Ibiza. They've got a residency at Ushuaia, I'm pretty sure. They're taking over the world just purely based off their visuals and the shareability of their visuals. So like, how do you reward the videographer or the person doing the visuals, the lighting, the sound design, the people sharing it on social media? I think the best way to do that would be reward them with a token. Now, what are we going to do with that token is kind of up to what the community wants from it. And Upturn being, well, in future, once it's released in all its iterations, will be fully community owned and a fully decentralized platform, meaning no one can capitalize off it. And like, there's not one centralized entity determining the direction that the platform takes. And I think that's a super powerful thing. We have the support from LUKSO at the moment, which allows us to do something like this, and I'm able to spend a lot of time on it and make sure it's done correctly with my team. So I think the question was, how are we going to, like, that was such a long-winded answer, but yeah, I think that's how we're going to redefine the artist fan connection.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And like it's really cool with the interpretation of artists that you have. Because you're right, so many people in shows and on the production team and everything like that are overlooked, right? They're the reason why everything's running smooth. They're the reason why at the end of the day you enjoyed the show that you were at. That the atmosphere, the experience is attributed to a lot of the behind the scenes crew who are forgotten about, and to shine light on them and to provide the perspective that these people are artists, and some people might actually be at these concerts for a VJ or a lights person or anything like that. It's a really, really cool perspective. Yeah. And I think it's going to be very important to this space. And it just makes me wonder, because you talked about the loyalty cards essentially, and then this connection to all the different types of artists in a production. So how does, going back to the coffee shop example, are fans essentially punching their cards with tokens and then building up their repertoire of different artist tokens and then are rewarded that way? Or does it work differently from that? If you could explain that a little bit, that'd be nice.
Yeah, so it's probably best if we kind of like walk through the process. So essentially, we've got our user interface where an artist can come along, if any of those definitions in any of those subcultures or mediums of artistry come along, and they go onto our Upturn platform. The roadmap from there is kind of really, really simplified. So they go in there, they essentially work out how many tokens they want in circulation, the name of it, the ticker, how many decimals, yeah, like the supply, obviously. The initial distribution, if you've got like, I don't know, if you're doing a band token or something like that, you might have 4 members of the band and you want to evenly distribute these artist tokens amongst your band members. You have the ability to mint more tokens, so that would mean the maximum supply isn't capped, or you have the ability to cap the supply. You have the ability to burn. You have the ability to create a burn fee for transactions. So every time a piece of my merchandise is bought with some Ledfut tokens, what percentage of those Ledfut tokens are burnt, meaning that the overall supply is deflationary. Whether you're allowed to pause the token for whatever reason, something's going wrong, you need to pause the token or trading for a certain amount of time to fix the issue or resolve the issue. You can do that. And blacklisting and whitelisting, which are all like safety functions for any token. This idea kind of, I don't know, has been kind of super underground. Obviously, you have like the shitcoin mania where it makes it super easy for people to just, anyone to go and make a token. You can go on a token generator online. But I thought like it's a really great idea, but it needs to be gate kept in a certain way that allows for security of people getting involved, the artist and the fan, the user, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are going to have like some gatekeeping features, including like a minimum follower amount on Twitter. So you can only actually create tokens if you've got a certain amount of followers, and a certain amount of Lux token in your, or Lux coin in your universal profile to be able to verify your account to make sure that we don't have like all these scam projects popping up and just like what I like to say, bastardizing our platform.
Yeah, you did a great job breaking it down, but how the actual like card mechanism works, like punching your artist card, how does that work for the artist and how does that work for the fan? When do they receive a reward back for supporting these artists?
Gotcha. So yeah, that's a really good question. There's all different features that obviously you can do with any type of coin in terms of manually transferring your tokens to someone. If you're running a physical gig, maybe there's people buying physical tickets and aren't blockchain natives. So there's a chance for you to be able to sign them up when they enter, or maybe when they go up and buy merchandise, someone says, okay, if you download this application, if you go on this platform, you can claim your tokens. But if we're talking like in a pure blockchain sense, and when like everything's automated, nothing's manual, people will be able to earn tokens when they scan in using their QR code to a gig, for example. They'll be able to claim tokens when they've bought a piece of merchandise, like a piece of digital fashion or some music, for example, if we're doing a physical release of vinyl or something like that. And a fan buys the vinyl, they'll receive tokens in that transaction if it's done on the blockchain. If people attend shows, so they'll be in attendance when they scan on. Obviously, I think I just mentioned that. So there's all these different like triggers for the receiver to get their tokens. For Ledfut members and people who've bought Ledfut merch, when those assets are transferred from L14 over to mainnet, you'll be able to claim Ledfut tokens, for example. So there's all these different features. So we can essentially have someone who is as an existing artist and isn't up and coming and does have a list of fans, and a fan can prove, okay, we've been to 10 gigs. Like we can claim, maybe the artist will say, okay, you can claim X amount of tokens per gig. You just have to send your payment receipts or something to someone to validate it, and then you'll get sent these tokens. So like we're building on all these types of features to onboard not only like just Web3 artists, but also artists from the traditional world. And yeah, just making sure that like there's enough triggers for people to be able to get those tokens and use them.
That's awesome. Kind of touching back on what you mentioned prior, the gatekeeping aspect. I do like that you have like minimum requirements because, as you said, kind of the shitcoin mania, we don't want the platform to be abused. Are you guys open in the future when someone kind of develops like a reputation type system, implementing more of a LUKSO based like criteria that you evaluate new potential launches? Like when somebody has the social reputation, a positive social reputation, and their up has been active for 2 months or 4 months, whatever criteria you define, but just more basing it less off of the web to like Twitter type stuff and more about what's being developed on universal profiles.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably going to take a little bit of time. And the only reason I would say we plan on using Twitter followers is because it is established and people have a following on Twitter, for example, like all of us communicate and engage on Twitter. And it's also to ensure that like there's a certain quality of artists. Like we just don't, because the more tokens and the more contracts you have on the blockchain, the slower it's going to be. Essentially, the more weight it has to carry around. So yeah, like I think we have to be like a little bit like forward thinking in terms of like how we onboard these artists, and we need to uphold some kind of standard that ensures that the person who's making this contract is actually like dedicated to their career and is going to actually use it. You know what I mean? And the only kind of way we can do that is making sure that they have some type of following rather than someone with 0 followers, for example, just jumping on board, creating the token, forgetting about it, and then it just sits there and does nothing, which I kind of think is just like a waste of
I totally get
wet bandwidth.
I totally get where you're coming from. That I didn't even think about that aspect. That is very important. You do want to verify that your musical artists are indeed popular, have the followers, and actually proving that they like are putting in that work to become the artist. That's great point.
yeah, I thought it was just like a super logical way to go about that. But also it gives people something to work with. Say it's like 500 followers. Then if they've got 250 followers, like then they're going to go out and bust their ass to get 500 followers. So there's all these benefits from it as well, not only like security and privacy and making sure that everything is running smoothly and is kind of like verified in a way.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Before we have to wrap up in a little bit, I want to touch on the UI of Upturn. I know that's your doing, and it's got a really unique design. I remember playing around with it during the hackathon. It was beautiful. It was fun to engage with. So I just want to hear some of that inspiration and what brought you to come up with this design for the platform.
Yeah. So I like I grew up using Windows back in like the like late 90s when I first got a computer when I was like super young. And I just love that like nostalgic feeling with like old technology. I don't know if you've seen the District VR content that I've been making. It's all just like, yeah, it's just like all old vintage pieces of tech with screens essentially, and I like I like dub the District VR video into that screen. I think the last one was like a Game Boy. I've had like an iPod and that kind of stuff. I just love that kind of design, you know, where you kind of like using real world objects. I've totally forgotten the name of the type of design, but it'll come to me in a second. And yeah, kind of like also I grew up as like a skater when I was younger, listening to like hip hop, and I'm into techno now, obviously. And those kind of like scenes where there's like everyone's a bit of a rebel and nothing's perfect. So I grew up in that world, and I kind of respect that those design qualities. And yeah, I think the main focus was like ignorant style tattooing, where it's like stick and poke. Maybe your mate did it in their garage or something when you're like on the beers or something like that, something stupid. And it's like maybe a pizza on your arm or something, but it's a really shit design. I really like that idea. And I really wanted to do that in like a web focus, a web setting. So I thought it'd be a good idea to like make like a digitally ignorant style web design, because just really no one had. And I've got a couple of examples of like people who've done like vintage Mac web design, and I really liked that as well. So I kind of fused the two together, and yeah, I think it just like works really well. It gives people a sense of nostalgia. They can trust it. It's simple. Nothing's really like too over the top and confused, but I'm super excited to like to drop this design because I work so much on it. And it's like if you've seen what I did for the hackathon, that UI, like that was just like a tip of the iceberg of what this one is, and this one's a lot more refined and really nice. So I'm super excited to show that to you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think Curve Finance also has like a retro UI that's pretty cool too. I'm really excited to see the new version of what you created because yeah, I rewatched your hackathon video and I was still super pumped about it. And I love the knobs. I thought that was a cool look as well.
Yeah, well, the knob still exists. I'll give that away. In what
Awesome.
function, you'll just have to wait and see.
Awesome.
Oh, skeuomorphism. That's what it is. That skeuomorphic design is like modern like apps or web infrastructure being built with like a real world physical emulation of the real world physical object. What I mean, so they do it a lot in like audio production. You'll have like a super vintage compressor from like the 80s or 70s or 60s or something emulated, and it's digitally exactly what it looks like in real life, shadowing and the knobs and that kind of stuff. I love that physical aspect to it. Like not many people do it, and I feel like it adds like a gamification angle to design and like the experience of people being on the web. You kind of, if you can touch it, you can kind of trust it kind of feeling. And I think that yeah, it's like a super, it gives the illusion of it's a simple thing. If you can put a knob on it and be like, oh, this knob makes it go up and down, like it's random. That's my brain.
So as we're wrapping up here, How can users join the Upturn community and experience everything that you guys are doing? And then what are some future plans? What should we look out for in the near future?
Yeah, so obviously the Ledfut profile on Twitter is the best place to get all the information that's coming out. There's a Upturn Twitter profile now, which is just, I'm not putting any effort into. I'm just like letting it organically grow. It's kind of fun doing things that way. So you can go on that, and that's tokens_LSP. The Ledfut profile is Ledfut_LSP. And on the Ledfut profile, if you go into my bio, there's a link for Discord as well. And I've just changed over the Discord branding from Ledfut to Upturn. So I've been thinking about doing that for a while. Anyone who's bought Ledfut stuff in the past has got a Ledfut membership. Those people are going to be rewarded in the future when this thing goes live, when Ledfut tokens go live. So at some stage, if you can trade these assets and buy some of these assets, maybe once we can verify that you're an owner, you'll be a member that way as well. But there's going to be all these different onboarding programs that we do for more Ledfut members and Upturn members, and growing this ecosystem and making sure that we've got demand and people using it. That's the main focus, is just ensure people are using it at what cost. So yeah, go on the socials. You're going to learn more about the project and what we're doing. In terms of future ideas and that kind of thing, we have like a full roadmap that I don't really want to release yet. A lot of it, we're kind of waiting for like a good regulatory framework. So that's coming in Europe, I think in like 2024. That's when it comes into play. So we've got that. The US is still like lagging behind in that regard. But until then, we can skip some versions and drop in some new features that we really want to do. That's going to include, when we're releasing digital assets, being able to claim tokens for purchases, like anything that we can do on LUKSO mainnet. Yeah, that we're going to build for that. You know what I mean? So it'll be rolled out, in a timely fashion, I hope.
Hell yeah, and we can also catch you dropping some sick beats on the District VR, right?
That's for
I've been
sure.
watching your clips. Yeah, I'm super pumped. I joined a couple times and I'm not able to comment yet because Twitch says that I have to be like a follower for like, I think it was like 2 months before I can start commenting.
That's so heavy.
But I was hyped and I was trying to comment.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, well, I think we just got a turbo account, so hopefully our videos stay up now. That's going to be good if they do. Otherwise, you can catch the District VR sets and any set that I do on SoundCloud. We also have a SoundCloud page. If you go on the District VR profile on Twitter, you can find those posts with the link. But yeah, it's super, super fun. Like I'm absolutely loving this work, and it ties into everything that I've done like my whole entire career. And yeah, it's just such a great team to be working with. And I really think it would be awesome if you guys had Dennis on, who's the CEO and founder of the District VR. Like, yeah, what we're doing at the moment is like pretty mind blowing. And he's a really great talker, and he'll be able to share some really good ideas with you guys for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. You got that connection. So yeah, we'd love to get in contact and maybe have him on if he's available. But
I got the hookup.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for taking the time and joining us today and walking us through everything you got going on at Upturn, the inspiration behind everything, the reasons for why you're trying to empower different types of artists in a new way. I think it's really inspiring, and I think it's really interesting. I can't wait to see what comes of it in the near future. So yeah, just thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it. This is a great episode. So on that note, Beef, if you want to sign us off, and Ledfut, if you got any final last words, now's the time. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. No final words. You hear enough of what I'm saying.
As always, guys, remember, none of this is financial advice. It's just a couple of dudes talking about what we love.
Hell yeah.